Peace and blessings, family. What's up with all the daydreamers out there? Please live it. Don't sleep through this thing. We are back with episode 2 of Community Talks, and our guest this time is Shawnda Griffin. Shawnda is running for Augusta Commissioner for District 1, and she's here to talk about her vision, her goal, and her plan for not only that district alone, but what she sees for Augusta as a whole if she is elected as your commissioner. And I'm gonna be honest with you, a conversation that we had in this interview, it needs to be had across the board because there are some things that she brought up that we no longer need to have a blind eye to. We need to really actually be open to having these serious conversations and really point out these things that are going on. So without further ado, no more antics from me, man. Let's go ahead and dive into episode 2 of Community Talk. And I am excited to have Shawnda Griffin with me. Now, if you don't know, Shawnda is, I'm gonna let you tell it. I'm gonna let you tell it. She's running for
District 1.
District 1 Commissioner.
Yes.
But this is what I want you to do.
Okay.
Before we dive into that, tell us a little bit about yourself from the most so the perspective of who you are. Not necessarily from the political concept or running for politics or anything like that, but just who is Shawnda? Because a lot of the times when we look at people who are running for any type of office, we really don't know who we're voting for. We we're listening for the issues and not really listening to understand the person.
Catchphrase and keywords.
Boom, there you go. So who is Shawnda?
A survivor.
Okay.
Child of the Most High.
Okay.
A mom. A bacon enthusiast. I'm silly, I'm goofy. I always tell people that I don't take life serious because life has a way of making you be serious when it wants you to be.
Right.
And I've lived the kind of life that has actually proven that. And it was the it was the things that I've gone through that made me realize that. 2014, I became ill. And lost vision.
Oh, wow.
Lost my ability to walk. I was paralyzed from the waist down. And they told me I never walk again.
Right.
And so just the basic, most simplest thing of wanting to feel my feet touch the ground and feel what that feels like. Just kind of remembering what that feels like. Suffering with depression, suicidal thoughts, things of that nature. I realized that we often say to people after someone has died, man, enjoy life because you never know the next minute. And
very true.
So that was for me. I remember it like it was yesterday, April 10th. I was at work. I was on the phone with Constant Contact.
Right.
And in my left eye, it was almost like somebody pulled a shade down. And I going to a coworker and I said, "Can you see me?" And she was like, "Yes." And I was like, "I can't see you."
I can't see you.
Right.
Right.
And she was like, "What?" And that was the start of the journey. And they didn't know what had happened. They didn't know why. It wasn't until last year, December the 18th, I was diagnosed with MS.
Okay.
And so that was the catalyst for everything that happened. So I had went 5 years not knowing, treating symptoms and not the problems. Yeah. But that never defined me. A lot of people didn't know until this moment, actually, that I have it because I never let it define me.
Yeah.
They saw me going through that process, and I shared that process with people. God led me to share that because everything, and this used to bother me when people say that.
Yeah.
Everything you go through is for somebody else.
Yeah. I understand how that can kind of be.
And I'd be like, that's crazy. Then make them go through
it.
But
yeah, then that's the thing. It sounds good.
Right.
When you're not the person having to go through it. Go ahead, Bo. Yeah.
But it was my pastor, my pops told me that, like, just remember everything that you go through, we overcome by the blood of the Lamb and the words of our testimony.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, I ain't gonna tell nobody this. Yeah. Like, let them go through it themselves. I'm not trying to help nobody get through this. But then it became, my mantra in life is always to be a servant.
Gotcha.
And no matter what I do, how I do it, just serve the people. Yeah. No questions asked. I know a lot of people, if someone walk up to them on the street and say, "Hey, can I have $1 or whatever?" I ain't got it. I ain't got it. If I tell a person I ain't got it, I really don't have it.
Understood.
Because it's not my job to decide what they're going to do with it. Right. If you come and tell me, "Can I have $1 to get something to eat?" here's your $1.
Gotcha.
Or I give you $3. And then someone said, well, you know they're going to go and buy alcohol. That's not my problem.
Right.
I'm going off the words that they told me, and I gave from that place.
Right.
So that's who I am.
Yeah, and it's interesting because some of the stuff that you're mentioning. So I was at her campaign kickoff. I really was.
As always.
Appreciate it.
Killed it.
Appreciate it. But I was at your campaign kickoff, and so here's the thing, I can't recapture that. And I wish I had my camera set up to capture that, right? Because dagnabbit, that would have been the whole thing for episode 2, right? And then interview you real quick afterwards for that, right?
All right.
But there's a lot of profound things that you said. So I want you to explain to us, and my son kind of alluded to the question. I said, oh, so you gonna do my interview for me? But why are you running for commissioner for District 1?
Well, okay, so it started 4 years ago. My youngest child is now a senior at Laney. Mm-hmm. And so she's graduating. 4 years ago, during Christmas and Thanksgiving and during Easter and most major holidays, we adopt a family.
Okay.
My family, me and my daughters, we will, because I celebrate Christmas, but not in the traditional way. Like I don't put up Christmas trees and things like that. I try to honor Christ. One of my mantras is, love thy neighbor as you love yourself.
I remember you saying
that. And I
that,
try to honor Christ in doing good deeds to the least of these.
Understood.
So 4 years ago, my daughter was like, Mom, you should run for office. Mm-hmm. And I was like, yeah, I should. And I just kind of joked with her, and I was like, baby girl, you got too much mouth for me to run for office, because people will come after you. And my daughter is that one, don't you talk about my mama. But as I began to continue working in the community, I realized, listening to the voice of the people, and it was really them, the teenagers, hearing them saying, I hate Augusta.
Right.
I can't wait to leave Augusta. Right. There's nothing here for me in Augusta. And from my perspective, I'm like, Augusta's great. Like, what are you talking about? Yeah. But then I realized I'm 42 years old. The things that I want in my life don't necessarily reflect for what a 22, 20, and an 18-year-old want. Right. So as I began to talk to them and their classmates and people, other kids in the community, that was a common thing. Right. I hate Augusta. Yeah. I can't wait to leave Augusta. Yeah. Augusta's not for us. Yeah. So
I hear that a lot.
So, and that made me sad. Yeah. That made me sad that you can be born and raised in a place or spend over half of your life in a place, and you hate it. Yeah. You don't feel welcome to be there. You don't feel like you matter there.
Well, let me ask you this, because if y'all saw the first episode, we make this out to be a conversation. That's what I love about what I do.
I love it.
I love to make it a conversation. Why do you think that the young people want to leave Augusta? What's making, and it's the truth, because they're saying, I want to go to Atlanta. I want to go to, and Atlanta comes out their mouth a lot. I want to go to Atlanta.
And Florida.
So what do you think is causing our young people to want to leave this city? Because I love this city too.
I love this city too.
But what is causing them to want to say, yo, I need to leave, I want to go?
Age-appropriate activities.
Okay, elaborate.
So in Atlanta, there are things to do that captures every age from birth to 99, 100, or whatever. There seems to be a stopgap. Here in Augusta, we've done a great job between the ages of birth to 12 years old, kind of capturing the attentions of families with kids in those age group camps, all kind of groups that they can join, things of that nature. Between the ages of 13 to about 19, in that little gray area where they're trying to kind of find in themselves, there's really not a lot to capture their attention on their levels.
Gotcha.
And Augusta, we kind of tend to have adult-themed items.
Understood.
And so things that they may find fun, we may not necessarily find fun.
Right.
But that's not what we're supposed to do. We're supposed to make the city welcoming to everybody.
Gotcha.
And then between that age group, the crime rate increases between like April, May to about September, because they're kind of left to their own devices to kind of figure out what to do.
Being out of school.
How to have fun, what's going to occupy their time. And if you're talking about older people with little siblings in one-income households, there's really nothing that they can participate in Like, my daughters aren't athletes.
Got you.
My daughters are scientists. My daughters are, and then with Fort Discovery used to be our place to go.
And it's no longer.
It's no longer there. So we blow stuff up in my house. So everybody doesn't have to. You know, I have a daughter that's majoring in chemistry at Kennesaw. My youngest daughter majored in zoology at Auburn. My youngest daughter, she's looking into social services kind of a thing. So none of them are athletes.
Got you.
So there has to be something in the city where we capture everybody's idea.
Right.
Atlanta, even though it is a metropolitan city, they have a lot there that captures the attention. Music scene, art scene, sports scene, just eclectic.
It's a mecca. It's something.
It's
something that attracts everything.
It really is. And Augusta has the power to do so.
Okay.
We just haven't had anyone to hear their voices. You realize we're dealing with a lot of Southern people.
Okay.
So a lot of us that are now older, I know in my household, I came from a children should be seen and not heard.
Right.
And so a lot of that has transformed as we've gotten older.
Correct. It's crippled our city.
It has. And so we don't listen to the voice of the youth.
Gotcha.
They feel like they're not being heard. When you feel like you're not being heard, you don't feel welcome.
Understood. So, well, okay, then, as somebody who hopefully will be elected as District 1 Commissioner, excuse me, how will you specifically change that, though? Because it sounds good. Everything you're saying sounds excellent.
Great.
And we all sit around not necessarily the campfire, but we sit around the dinner table and whatever the case may be, or we sit around in our coffee shops and all this other stuff, and in our little groups and our little sections, and we talk about this. But what would you specifically try to implement to aid and help young people like my sons, my daughters, your children, that have an outlet for themselves that is positive?
Okay, so the short answer is a youth panel.
Okay.
We need to create something where the youth can make their voices be known. So a young man by the name of William McLean, he started the William McLean Youth Forum. And I'm looking at him and I'm going, this is a leader. This is who's going to be elected our mayor one day. I have no doubt about it. A mayor, senator, whatever this young man want to do, because he's totally aware. Those are the kind of things we need to create to get other kids involved, to say, hey, we want to do this in your city. What do you think? Or what are some of the ideas you would like to have here? Because these are the people that's going to come up and one day be the leaders in our city. These are the people that's going to come in and take over and undo what we've done or build on what we've done. So part of that is, like it was, I was beginning to explain, there's a group of young men, 3 young men, in Louisiana. They were falsely arrested, sentenced to prison, served prison time. They got out and started a youth empowerment forum to prevent young men specifically from getting in trouble and going to prison. That came out into my attention around the time the 17-year-old young man was murdered. And he was murdered by a 15-year-old.
Right.
That is a program that our community needs to prevent something like that. Those are those kind of things. I think I mentioned to you yesterday where I felt like I did my daughters a disservice because none of them know how to double dutch.
I remember you telling me about that.
And I love to double dutch. And double dutch is an athletic but also a social form of gathering. So I'm looking into hopefully bringing a double dutch team here, like creating one in Augusta, a competitive team. Because they can have national championships. We need to meet everybody where they're at as much as possible. I do realize that there's going to be people that just don't want to participate. They just don't want to be a part of anything. The ones that we've lost through the cracks, I personally apologize for because as a leader in the city, as an adult in the city, I could have, sometimes I ask, what could I have done more to make sure we didn't lose the ones that we've lost?
So let me ask you this, and it's not really shifting gears, but it's like now we're going to hone in on some stuff real quick. So running for District 1, you're from District 1.
Yes.
What specifically do you see in District 1 that is a specific need for that community? Because District 1 expands a long way through Augusta. It's almost like the main artery and heart of Augusta, Georgia.
Because it has the downtown area.
So just looking at the way that it spans out, what specific needs do you see that District 1 that needs to be addressed for District 1?
Taking care of the blight in our community. addressing the abandoned properties, the overrun properties, the rundown properties, because those are health hazards. Those are safety hazards. There's one 2 doors down. There's an empty lot 2 doors down from my house. I live in Eastview.
Yeah.
And there are times the neighbor next to me or myself, we would go out and have to pick up the trash because as people are walking by, because they see it's an empty lot and nobody lives there, they toss it in there.
Understood.
So that, viable, affordable food options.
Yes, I've heard that.
Yes. Yeah. We're a food desert. Everybody is worried about a grocery store. Well, two things with that. The Housing and Community Development is currently working on bringing a grocery store here.
Okay.
It's called Good Market.
Okay.
They're looking at 2 areas in which to set up. Also, we have a Paul's IGA on East Boundary. IGA is a grocery store.
Right.
And so if you're in our community, why can't you be accessible to our community? Why can't you have the fresh options? And if you don't, why can't we as a community band together to make sure that that's what you provide?
Gotcha.
You're either going to provide us with what we need or don't be in our communities.
Right.
But there are also programs like Augusta Locally Grown. Augusta Locally Grown works with local farmers, and we have a lot of farmers here in Augusta. That's what I don't understand is why don't we have more options? The farmers market sits empty.
Right.
Why can't we open that up to the farmers that we have in not just Augusta, but the surrounding areas to come out to sell their fruits and vegetables and things of that nature?
Gotcha.
So they have, Augusta Locally Grown has a lot of options, a lot of programs that families can be a part of to receive fresh fruits and vegetables, receive vouchers to shop at the veggie truck market.
Right.
And then we can take those same abandoned properties, those same abandoned blighted areas and do food gardens.
Okay.
So those are things that it doesn't cost a lot because you can get seeds off of grants.
Okay.
You can get seeds donated. It's just we have this empty land. What are we doing?
And it's interesting. You're talking really in depth about food deserts. And I don't think people realize the impact that food deserts have. Because when you, so correct me if I'm wrong, you help me. But matter of fact, explain to people, I want you to do it. Explain to people what a food desert is and why it's so important to deal with that specific issue within any community.
So a food desert is any area that does not have affordable food sources within, I think it's like a 2 to 3 mile radius.
Now that's crazy. That's crazy. But keep going. It's just crazy.
And then what people don't understand is that we also have a food oasis.
Okay.
So a food oasis is an area that is inundated with fast food restaurants, processed foods, and things like that.
Yeah, I was just finna see if you was going to tackle on that.
So we have, when people say there's an abundance of food in the area, yes, there's an abundance of food, but there's not an abundance of healthy food.
Gotcha.
Because we have the processed foods, the McDonald's, the Burger Kings, the IHOPs, and all of those things. But we have the Dollar Trees and the dollar stores and things like that.
Gotcha.
Where people can't get fresh fruits and vegetables. You can get canned goods, some frozen stuff, but not enough to feed your family and sustain your family. So a food desert is where people do not have access to quality and fresh foods. How that impacts a family. Well, you ever gone to bed hungry?
Ooh,
So, and I think most people don't realize that affects everything you do.
Yeah.
So as a kid, let me just take it from the standpoint of a student. If I'm hungry and I come in and there's no food in my house, I can't focus on my homework. I can't focus on the things that I need to do because my only thought is being hungry.
How do I feed myself?
Right. And then, and I'm just speaking from my experience too, from when we struggled. Then that causes tensions between the child and the parent.
Very true.
Because I thought you was working.
Yeah.
You know, what is my mom doing? And even if they don't say it, they're thinking it. Like, how can I help my mom or my dad get out of this situation?
Right.
And a lot of the times, kids become adults far before their age allows them to.
Very true.
And so,
I don't think people realize
they
just how
really
much
don't.
children are actually doing to keep their home stable along with the parent or without the help of a parent. But go ahead, finish.
And so that cuts into, again, a man steals a loaf of bread. Is he guilty? yes, technically he stole, but why did he steal? There was no access to things that he actually needed.
Right.
So it taps into a whole lot of inadequacies in our community, in our families. You know, I'm hungry, my child's hungry, my child out of desperation breaks into my neighbor's house.
Yeah.
Now my neighbor doesn't feel safe.
Yeah.
Now the police are involved. Yeah. Now that brings the interaction between black people,
Yeah.
white people, and the police.
Gotcha.
With everything that's going on in the nation with the involvement of law enforcement and the African American community.
Right.
So it's a snowball effect.
It's a snowball effect. And it's interesting you bring that up because something that you did hit on during your campaign was talking about relationships between African American communities and the police.
Right.
And the thing is, it's not. I think people misunderstand a lot of African American stances when it comes to, and people think that we just totally hate the police.
Right.
But the reality of it is history over time has caused us to be cautious of the police that other races, specifically white race, don't have to
worry about.
Yeah, go ahead.
It's not that we hate the police. We don't like the system.
Gotcha. Okay.
It's the system of how we're targeted. We fit the description more than anybody else.
Okay.
We've had so many examples of young black men and women being killed with interactions with law enforcement because they fit the description.
Gotcha.
Or because, and it's that line, I hear people joke about it, and to me it's not something to joke about because every time I hear this line, I fear it for my life.
Yeah.
I think about all the lives that was lost off of that one line.
Gotcha.
And then the people that got away with it just by using that line.
Right.
I know a lot of very competent Christian, just good, decent African Americans who are police.
Yeah.
I know a lot of competent Christian, good, decent Caucasian Americans who are police.
True.
The problem is the system and how it's created
Gotcha.
that they have to follow.
Gotcha.
And I understand that it's hard when you're on your job and that is your source of income.
Understood.
To buck a system.
True.
If that's all you've done for the past 20, 25 years or 15 or however long, and you are the primary provider for your home, it is hard for you to buck that system.
Understood.
I think that as a community, there should be some kind of understanding. One of the great things I think we have is the Citizens Police Academy.
Okay, because I was just going to ask you, how do we mend the relationship or or start to build that relationship of trust in some degree between the African American community and, of course, our police officers who you just stated, there are some that really are there to serve and protect in the righteous way possible, but how do we mend that? So go ahead, because you was just going to touch on that. Go ahead.
There's a Citizens Police Academy that we have here in Richmond County, and it allows you to see from their point of view, from that side, to see what we deal with, and to be able to look. It's one of those things that I would love to go through. I have some friends, some people I know and I'm acquainted with that has gone through the academy,
Gotcha.
and it has actually changed their mindset of how they look at police interactions. I started thinking about the difference in police interactions when the whole debate about the when the rehab center issue brought up for the first responders. You're working an area, consistently. You're seeing the same thing. You're arresting the same people that are constantly getting into trouble, and you're constantly bombarded with people, pig,
Gotcha.
F police,
Gotcha.
die slow, cop. Like, you get all of that stuff in your head every day. People throwing stuff at you, spitting at you, just yelling obscenities at you. That can begin to wear on you.
True.
And you can come out with the best of intentions of trying to make a difference in this community. A lot of people say police officers struggles financially. Then that you make the wrong decision. There's a lot to get into with that. Right. But it starts with effective communication.
Okay.
It starts with you wanting to see a difference in this community that you're serving.
Yeah.
You're wanting to be a positive impact and change, and not just go out and just arrest these thugs.
Gotcha. So perhaps it's this being able, and you just brought up something like communication. It's us understanding the position of a cop, but also a cop understanding the position of the citizens in their own patrol area. Because, I mean, the cop that's patrolling the area, does that cop come home and actually have to live in that area?
And so that is another thing too that I've always thought about is like, how can you put someone that lives in a middle class area who may have come from an upper to middle class family that may not know the struggles that happens in a low income? How can you put them in a low income area and expect the people who don't have the same advantages that you may have had to understand where you're coming from? So that's where that too, you got to be able to have people blended together. I don't want someone in my neighborhood that hasn't experienced what I've experienced in this neighborhood.
Gotcha.
Or you're not trying to understand.
There you go. Because you don't want to just cut off any police officer.
Right. No.
But
if you're not trying to understand, you don't care to make a change.
Gotcha.
You're just working your beat.
Gotcha. And then at the end of the day, you clock out.
You go home. And you're not trying to understand the struggles of the people that you're out there serving. How can you serve me if you don't understand?
Because we had a real close buddy of ours who was a beat cop at one point, then became a detective, but he became a detective in homicide. And he said working homicide, and this is here in Augusta, y'all, working in homicide, it messed with him because he would go to places in houses where he's called for whatever's going on, and he's like, he sat down with me, he said, hey, Sleep, I just feel like I'm not making any effort. I'm trying, but it just feels like I'm not making any progress in my job, and I want to quit. And I think it's you got a point, sis. We got to bring that communication so Citizens on Patrol, I guess is what you said.
It's the Citizens Police Academy. There's a process, of course, you got to go through to get into it, but it has been eye-opening for people who have gone through it to provide a better level of respect and understanding. Because I know that one person I'm thinking of in particular, before if an incident happened, it was the police. Now is, okay, wait, let's look at all sides. Like we're not so quick to condemn either side. You know, we're not so quick to say it's all the police fault, and we're not so quick to say it's all the victim's fault either. So it definitely is a communication factor.
Right. No, and very, very good point. So let's get to some things that you mentioned when you was at when I was at your kickoff. Man.
Okay.
Because you said some really powerful stuff, guys. So forgive me if I'm on my phone.
He wrote it down.
Yeah, I was sitting there taking notes like crazy. You said something that was really interesting. You said District 1 deserves to hear the have-nots.
Yes.
And not the people that just have.
Right.
Can you kind of elaborate on that specifically to that district? Why did you make that statement?
Okay, so I live in East Augusta.
Okay.
East Augusta is called the bottom.
Right.
The bottom of what?
Yeah, exactly.
Like, I remember when I moved here 6 years ago in East Augusta. I was living in Harrisburg, and before that I moved down, and I kept saying when I first moved to Augusta, I would hear about the bottom, the hill, and I was like, what is the bottom?
Right.
And then I remember as a little kid coming to visit before Walton Oaks was built, the projects that was over there for Sandbar Ferry.
Got you.
And people in that area have gotten, some people, gotten used to being ignored.
Got you.
We live in the projects. We live in the bottoms. They don't care about us down here. They don't, and I've heard people say, we don't hear from people until they running for election, and then they want our votes.
Gotcha.
They throw some fish at us, they throw some chicken at us, they throw some hot dogs and hamburgers, and then they're going about our business.
Yeah.
No matter what your address is,
Yeah.
no matter what your financial status, no matter how you're living, you deserve to be heard.
Gotcha.
You deserve to know that if you're unhappy with your city, that the leadership is hearing you and trying to be inclusive with everyone as much as they can. I've been in the situation where because I was in a certain area or because I was in a certain position, like I was homeless.
Yeah.
And so being homeless, when you're trying to seek assistance, how people talk down to you.
Yeah.
how people treat you because they assume
Right.
that you're on drugs, that you're on welfare, riding the system, and things of that nature. And it's the thing called the working poor.
Right.
People have full-time
Right.
jobs. They're working. They're trying to just live and be successful, but it's barriers around them. Nobody's listening to them. Nobody's thinking about them because they live on that side of town.
Gotcha.
And they're ignored and overlooked until it's time for it.
Right. So what would you do? Because I mean, you during your kickoff, you talked a lot about being able to relate to, because of your position of being homeless and stuff like that, having to be on Section 8, food stamps and stuff like that. Like really trying to make sure that you can do it for your family. Like it's not even about Shawnda, it's about my family. I got to make sure these girls is good. So it's an economic disparity that is going on inside that area, inside a portion of District 1. I'll say that.
Yes.
But how would you, if you was on the commission and representing District 1, how would you fight to make sure that economic disparity is looked at and the focus is put on that?
Have the people voices speak up.
Okay.
Even from the position that I sit in, even getting past that, yes, I can relate to it, but I'm still not in it.
Gotcha.
And you never want to lose touch with the people you're trying to serve.
Understood.
So we have an open door policy. No, for real. We're supposed to have an open door policy.
Gotcha.
Come talk to me and tell me what you need.
Gotcha.
We need jobs. What kind of jobs do we need?
Okay.
There's public forums we can have. There's town hall meetings that we can have. Making sure that the people are heard and then taking that information and trying to bring in what we need. Jobs. Everybody needs jobs. Well, let's work with the workforce task over here at the employment department and seeing how we can place people. What kind of jobs are coming in that people need?
Yeah.
Let's making sure that we put people in touch with jobs that hire people that have a criminal record. People that have a criminal record are less likely to go to apply for a job because they don't want to have to deal with that scrutiny of having that record. Making sure that people know this company hires, whether or not you have a criminal record or not. This company hires, whether or not you have a high school education or not. You don't have to have a college degree to get over here and make decent and good money. We need to be able to hear the people, hear their needs, and then try to work together to fulfill the needs. Now, and I remind people, I'm only one vote.
No, understood.
I can always bring something to the table. I always tell people I will do the very best I can to bring the issues to the table and try to work with others to get those issues resolved. And work with the colleagues to get those issues resolved. Because we deserve to have our voices.
And now let's go ahead and get into it. Now you're on to some stuff that let's it's finna get real. It's finna get real right now. The consensus in the community is that the commissioners do not get along. They can't agree on nothing. Nothing gets done because they're always bickering and they're always arguing about everything and stuff like that. Okay. Is that true? Is that a misconception? Is this something that we're not seeing in the piece of the pie? If you're sitting up there with the commissioners, and the consensus of the city is y'all jokers just complain, cry, and y'all fight amongst each other. Don't nothing get done because all y'all do is just box each other. How would you try to make sure that you change that perspective? Or how do you address a concern like that? Let me ask it like that. How do you address a concern that the commissioners do not get along?
Well, that's a good one. That's a really good one. Here's the thing. Yes, there are moments where commissioners, and we've seen commissioners disagree.
Right.
On the panels, the commissioner meetings are televised. They're recorded. You can watch them in real time. We've seen the arguing and back and forth. So I'm not going to sit here and tell you that's not true.
Gotcha.
We've seen it. It's on video where we've seen the arguing amongst the commissioners. There has to be somebody willing to say for the greater good.
Gotcha.
For the greater good of the city.
Gotcha.
It's not about me.
Gotcha.
It's not about what I feel about him or her after we're off the clock. Because after I'm off the clock, I don't have to deal with you. I don't have to break bread with you. I don't have to hang out with you. Y'all don't have to act like we're best friends. But while we're on the clock, while we're doing the work of the people, it is my job, and I've seen it happen where someone say, if anybody else had brought that to the floor, I'd be voting yes on it. And I'm like, that is stupid. I got to take me out of the situation and put the greater good of my community in it. I got to make sure that what's being brought to the table, it doesn't matter. Because, and I always say, I think about with that Love is Blind experiment they just had on Netflix. I got to take that out. I got to take the physical out. Let me see what you're proposing on paper. And if it sounds good, if it adds up, if it makes sense, if it's fiscally sound, then let's move forward with it if it's going to benefit our city or our district. It doesn't matter who brought it to the table. Who will it benefit? Will it benefit the people? I don't care who gets the credit. I've always been a behind the scenes person. I don't care who gets the credit. As long as it gets done. I ain't finna argue with you because I cuss. I'm not gonna lie to nobody. That's one of them things that God ain't delivered me from yet. And it still slips every once in a while. This campaign thing has really tightened me up a little bit. But you say something crazy to me, something liable will slip out. If I go into a situation knowing that I'm working for the greater good of the people, it doesn't matter what I feel about you. I can work with anybody. I have worked with anybody. I've worked with people who absolutely get on my last nerves. But we have a job to do.
And I mean, and I think that's the thing that Augusta gets frustrated about. It just feels as if, and you've been stating this the whole time you've been sitting here, and she's been consistent with this. The voice of the people is being drowned out by the politics. It's like we don't exist. It's like this is what's going on with us. While the commissioners are probably fighting or disagreeing. I'll use that a little lighter term, disagreeing. But at the end of the day, it's like, well, hold on, wait. What about us? What about us?
Like, what about us?
At the end of the day, what does this accomplish?
So I'm a veteran in the military, and I'll tell you why I'm able to do that. Like, people say, how are you able to decipher and separate things? Listen, I've served up under a lot of people in leadership where I couldn't stand them. I respect your rank. I respect your job. I don't like you, but I respect you. Let's get the mission done. Let's just get it done. The faster we can get it done and get it over with and get it right, the quicker I can separate myself from it. I don't have to deal with you.
And it's interesting you bring up the military, because whether I like you as a person, in the foxhole, I'm relying on you to shoot. I'm relying
on you to protect me.
We're back to back in a war zone, and I'm expecting you to consistently shoot and hit the target, and you're expecting on me to do the same thing. At that moment, it's not a matter of skin color. It's not a matter of race. It's not about religion. It's not about none of that.
Your preference. I don't care about your money.
Yet
save my life and I'll save yours.
It's about survival.
And that's exactly what it is. That's exactly why I'm able to take personal preferences out of situations and say, I can't stand him, but we got to get this accomplished.
So now watch this, because we got to tap on it. And you mentioned this even in your kickoff campaign, and I actually got it written down here. Augusta is a little bit over 50% Black, African American, roughly in the 40%, high 40% Caucasian. So both of those races make up the majority. However, you've mentioned in your kickoff campaign that there's this consensus that there's a Black Augusta and a white Augusta. How do we reconcile it being just one Augusta?
It goes back to communication. Listen, so I grew up in a pro-Black family. And I think a lot of people have the misconception that if I'm pro-Black, I'm anti-white. And that is not the case at all. Pro-Black, for me, meaning understand myself, learn myself, respect myself, my culture, my history, and everything involved in it, learning how we got to where we are, coming up with solutions to tap into our problems that we face. Doesn't mean I hate you. Doesn't mean I dislike you. I mean, we celebrate St. Patrick's Day, Cinco de Mayo, all those good things. But I can't help you until I learn to help me. Moving here 12 years ago, it was, you could almost cut the racial tension with a knife. You could, I would hear people say, don't go over there to Columbia County. Because, those white people live over there. And I'm like.
That's the consensus that people catch,
we're not supposed to go over there? Like, is it a law that we can't go to Columbia County? Like, help me to understand. Is this a thing that's going on? the lack of communication and understanding why we feel a certain way.
Gotcha.
White supremacy is real.
True.
But that doesn't mean that every person is a white supremacist.
Very true.
What that does mean is I understand what that looks like as a system.
Yeah.
So I know what I'm looking for and know how to deal with people and to better understand why people maneuver and do the things they do. People can have, it's traditions.
Yeah.
People can have the best intentions in their heart and do something that's totally messed up.
Yeah.
And then if I care about you, if I care about what we're doing together, I would say, hey, look, so don't do that. And this is the reason why.
Good point.
You know, this is why somebody may find this offensive.
Yeah.
It's about communicating with you. It doesn't mean that I think you're a terrible person and, oh my God, you know, I'm going to counsel you. Like we're in cancel culture now.
Yeah.
It's not, I'm going to, oh my God, I'm cutting you off.
Yeah.
But it is so, hey, don't do this.
Gotcha.
This is why most people will find it offensive.
Gotcha.
The problem comes when after I've said, hey, this is why people find this offensive. Here's the history of this. And you do the, whatever, I do what I want to do. Or the so, I don't care.
Yeah.
That's when I know, okay, I'm going to deal with you, the 10-foot pole.
Gotcha.
I only deal with you when I have to deal with you. We have to be willing to address the elephant in the room. People are uncomfortable talking about race.
True.
And there used to be a time where I used to tiptoe around that. Well, that's no more because tiptoe around it does nothing but exacerbate the problem.
Right.
And it does nothing but keeps it ongoing.
Yeah.
No. We got to confront this thing head on. Racism exists. People want to deny that it doesn't. There are microaggressions, macroaggressions. I know people who say, oh, I don't believe in micro and macroaggressions. That's because you don't experience them. Like you don't experience them. But for those of us who's on that end, we know what we're looking at is for people to hear our voice. Again, it goes back to communication, listening to other people, and respecting their perspective.
And it's being able to have both sides be invested in the conversation rather than you having to come and sit down and hear this one side.
Or why you always wrong. And that's what I always tell people when I shut down when people starts. You did and the wagging of the finger, and there's no accountability. There's no accountability on their part.
So it's funny you say that because I get people who are married come to me about their marriage issues, and it's funny, right? And they'll be like, come by themselves. The spouse ain't even with you, and you spaz and slap out, right? And I'm like, okay, bet. So instead of talking about him or her,
let's talk about you, right? What did you do?
And then that's when they be like, wait. That wasn't the intention of the conversation.
Right.
But no, I can't talk about that person for number one, they're not here. Number two, obviously you don't realize that you play a part in why they feel the way they feel, and act the way they act. And I think you hit up on a point like communication is key. So obviously you're going to be that candidate that's going to be about communication.
And transparency. Yeah. So one of the things I absolutely hate is finding out about something that's going on in our community after it's happened.
Gotcha.
Like, you've already voted on it. What you telling us for?
Yeah.
Like, really, and you're telling us, and there's really nothing we can do about it because you've already voted on it.
Right.
You know, what happened to that point where we have an input on it?
Yeah.
What happened to that point where you say, this is what's coming down the pipeline, this is what we're discussing and considering? What do you think?
Gotcha.
What do you want for your community?
Gotcha.
How do you feel about this? Don't wait till it's already drawn up. Don't wait till it's already halfway through to kind of mention it to us.
Yeah.
And then everybody's up in arms about it and then and that goes back to feeling like you're not being heard.
So how would you, if you was elected as District 1 Commissioner, how would you effectively be transparent to the community? Because mind you, you're on this commission with multiple other people, right? But it might be 9 of them don't want to be transparent as much as you.
Well, that's their issue. That's their integrity issue.
So how would you be transparent? So I get that. That's on them, but how would
town
you?
Halls.
Okay.
Town halls, email lists, newsletters. I know Commissioner Bobby Williams and Commissioner Sammy Sayers does a breakfast. I know Commissioner Frantum did one recently. Commissioner Sias is the only one that I know of right now at the top of my head that does them consistently every second Saturday.
Right. And please note, she knows what the commissioners are actually doing. Please make that a note if whoever you considering to vote for. She actually knows what's going on behind the closed doors.
And here's the thing, because I'll never be afraid to say I don't know. Like if I don't know, if I don't understand, I ask questions.
Gotcha.
I always tell people I may not be the smartest in the room, but I am the most passionate and I'm the most determined.
Gotcha.
I'm the one, I will ask questions until you give me answers. You're either going to tell me to shut up and leave you alone, or you're going to answer my question.
Gotcha.
To make sure that Commissioner Sias, every second Saturday, he's bringing in department heads.
Gotcha.
He's putting up graphs. He's putting up demos. He got a printout. I love that.
Gotcha.
I love that on things that's coming down the line of things that they voted for, where money was allocated. I'm like, that's what I want to do.
Gotcha.
If it's not broke, don't fix it.
Yeah.
Don't try to attempt. Listen, sir. So you got it on second Saturdays. Maybe I can do mine on third Saturdays.
Gotcha.
So we're not interfering with people because he's District 4. Yeah. I'm not in District 4, but I still go and listen because the things that they're voting on takes place around the city.
Oh, you said something right there. It's being able to be invested in the other districts because those other districts, like downtown Augusta, impacts me.
It does. It absolutely
people don't realize
does.
that. Like, but here it is. I'm in District 3, and of course, where I'm at, the Augusta Mall is like right up the street where I live. That impacts every other district also.
It absolutely does.
Yeah, and I don't think we really realize how we cross paths.
And I think that's what people. I get it why the voting is set for district only, because you want the people of the district to have the say so
that's
of
understandable.
who they're going to get to represent them. But we not only just represent this district, we represent the city too.
Right.
Any training we go to, any classes, anytime we go anywhere, I'm representing the city of Augusta.
Gotcha.
And that's important.
Gotcha. So I'm glad we're talking about this now. So let's go ahead and bring it down to the right now the national level political scene is on fire.
I'm not interested.
But no, hold on. I'm not even finna ask you about that, but you'll see where I'm going.
Right.
You'll see where I'm going. President Trump.
Right.
Of course, we're looking at either Bernie or they're looking at either Bernie Sanders or Joe Biden.
Right.
Everybody else has dropped out the race besides this one chick that we don't even know about. I didn't even know she existed. You know what I'm saying? I didn't know she existed until Warren dropped out. I was like, who is she? Is she
why is he hanging on?
What is you hanging on by, man? It's like that. It's like that weave hanging on by.
That light in the back, and it won't even be like, come on, sis, cut that out. Just gonna cut that out.
But everybody's fixated on that.
Right.
But explain to the people explain to us why local politics is probably more important to us than the national scene.
Because you feel local results the quickest.
Okay.
So we decide the laws in this city.
Gotcha.
We vote on the changes
Very
and the things that's going to have an effect quickly.
Right.
The president can pass along stuff. Sometimes that stuff takes years
to
go into effect.
Which is very true.
And then even when it goes into effect, to see the results can still take years.
Right.
The things that we decide to do here in our community, the laws that the senators in Atlanta write for us, we feel that almost immediately.
Gotcha.
Things that goes in effect. That's why I tell people when people are talking about the presidential race and we got to get Trump out the office, and I'm like, what about the Senate?
Nobody want to focus on the Senate.
Nobody don't want to focus on the Senate because it behooves a president to have a Senate that matches his party.
Very true.
So what if you put a Democratic president in there, but you still have a Republican majority?
Right.
You'll have the last term of President Obama.
Gotcha.
And Mitch McConnell purposely, he admitted, they purposely dragged out and denied him things getting accomplished.
Right.
Because they didn't match parties.
Yeah.
So while we're focused on the presidency, yes, it has a little bit of bearing on our day-to-day lives. It does not have a huge impact like our local elections.
Because I know I always make this, I'm going to hold that because I'm going to hold that. So let's get into some questions. You kind of alluded to some of them, but I really want you to hone in on these specific topics of concern. So the main thing that I will say is a topic of concern that I see on my timeline as of lately, we're really for a while, man. And you kind of touched on this, but I really want us to hone in on the increase in violence and gang activity amongst our youth. And let me tell you why this is such an important topic to me. This is the number one question I always have to anybody I sit down that I talk to that is talking about the concerns of the city. For me, because I was invested in the streets when I was a teenager. Like I was actually active in the streets. So I know the effect that it has on family. I know the effect that it has on the community as a whole. How would you address this? Because this is a concern of plenty of people, especially Black people.
Well, we got to make sure definitely our seniors feel safe. Everybody feels safe, not just our seniors, but I know I'm surrounded in my community on the street that I live in. My immediate neighbors are all elderly. So for me, I hear the elderly complaints and concerns first. Making sure that our elders feel safe in the community, that families feel safe in the community, making sure our sheriff's department have the needs that they need, the equipment and things that they need to fulfill their jobs. Making sure that we have enough staff in the sheriff's department, because the last thing I need coming to answer a call at my house is an officer that's worked 14, 15 days straight with no time off, no time for his own personal
He's mad
needs.
right now.
He's mad. He's mad. He's tired. He's on a short fuse. And all it takes is for somebody to get loud, and then there's a situation out of hand. But this goes back to the gentlemen I was talking about in Louisiana. And making sure that these youth understand, because I hear it all the time, just like you, these young people have no value of life. They don't understand. They don't value life. They don't understand how they're messing up their community. Well, do we understand? Do we understand the things that they're lacking?
Good point.
Do we understand the things that they are crying out for? Why do they feel the need to get involved with this? Well, a lot of people get involved with gang activity because they don't have family.
I understand.
Their family life
I like
at home
the father figure.
sucks. Right. So we have a good bit of groups out here that are doing a great job mentoring. Well, let's try to put some of these more troubled youth in the face of, because I know these guys can't get to everybody. And so let's try to make sure that we have these youth that are targeted. That comes with working with our DA. That comes with working with our prosecutors, things of that nature, our judges and stuff, to identify at-risk youth that will say, we need to put you in front of a mentor.
You're really, I find it interesting that you're bringing up the system, but you're bringing up in a manner of system reform concept rather than just what the system is at this moment in time. But you're also saying get invested with your community efforts, your mentor programs, such as, and I'm going to go ahead and give them a quick plug, Band of Brothers and stuff like that.
And that is exactly who I was thinking about.
Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and give them a quick plug, Band of Brothers.
Because they have been doing an amazing job with showing up and being present. And a lot of times, that's what our kids need. So whether they want to admit it or not, children like structure.
They do.
Structure. They want to know that somebody legitimately cares.
Very true. Very true.
And I tell you, I volunteer at the alternative school on Mondays, and it's hard to break through to some of those kids because people will show up. Oh my God, I'm here for you, and we're gonna make this happen, and then they never come back again. And so when you've lived your life kind of like that, with people letting you down, and then people will say, well, pull yourself up by your own bootstraps, and if you ain't got nobody else, you got yourself, and you still just got to push. We were created as social creatures. We were not.
It's not good that man should be alone.
Right.
And that's just not a reference to marriage
at all. It's social, it's intellectual, it's intimacy. And intimacy is not just sex. It's friendships. It's the bonding that we have. It's the socializations that we have. And making sure you're out here in these streets for a reason. Okay, what's going on at home? What is mom and dad beating on you? Are you seeing your mom being beat? Are you being touched? Are you being violated? Is there not enough food? Well, you're getting involved with selling drugs because you need money. Why? Because you've lived half of your life not having money. Well, what happens when you don't have money? You don't have access to the basic needs. You ain't got lights, you ain't got food, you ain't got clothes. So you're getting picked on because you don't have the newest clothes or you don't have decent clothes. So what I'm going to do is go out here and get my money.
So I can get my respect.
Exactly.
Good point.
And in order to do that, you get caught up in trouble.
Very true.
So now we got to learn how to distract. And it takes a village. It's just a village. I wouldn't be where I am I wouldn't be the woman I am. I wouldn't be the mother I am, the friend. I wouldn't be the social activist that I am if it wasn't for my village.
Yeah.
If it wasn't for the people.
I can attest to that.
Yeah, if it wasn't for people. And it's not, and people, when people think of village and when people think of stepping in and helping someone, they're like, well, I'm not giving handouts. Sometimes it's not a handout, it's a hand up. Sometimes it's simple as saying, you're better than this. What you're going through right now is only temporary. Let's figure out together how we're going to solve it.
And it's the ideal of, you look at the reality of the game. If you show interest in me, it lets me know that there is a value in me.
And consistent interest.
Okay, no, I agree with you.
Right.
But the reality of the game is simply this: if it's, you know how we're like, people on this self-love kick, and I do kind of beef with that. I ain't gonna lie, y'all. But I'm not finna make it into that. But go ahead. But the reality of it, the reality of what I'm getting at is simply this, Mom. It's when you pour into me, you let me know that, because some people don't see the value in themselves.
Right.
And so we need, I love your answer. So let's keep going, because I want to get to these real quick.
Okay.
The importance of small business storefronts. So small business storefronts, in my opinion, is the lifeblood of a community. Everybody's on the internet hustling their shea butter and stuff like that, which is fine. But we need brick and mortar businesses in our city. But you got Costco's, Walmart, you got these big chains that come through, and it actually really does take away from the ability of entrepreneurs who do want to open up storefronts that do speak to the needs that you were talking about, the food deserts and things of that nature, but they're scared to do it because they don't feel like they'll get the community support financially to continue to thrive. How would you address the getting increase in storefront businesses?
Well, we got to make businesses feel wanted. First of all, there's enough people in this city to sustain businesses.
Okay.
And I get it that shopping online and having it delivered, I broke down and did it once with Kroger. Yeah. Having my groceries delivered, and I was like, man, wait a minute. But but I'm frugal. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Like and my kids call it creatively cheap.
Got you.
That $9 delivery fee. And I'm thinking to myself, do you know what the other stuff I could have bought for $9?
Yeah. So, you sound like my wife. Yeah.
So I'm like, no, and I want to visit because I'm a big customer service person, but it's making business available. Okay. Making opportunities for businesses to come in to set up, because I absolutely agree with you that small businesses, they used to be called mom and pop shops. Yep. Mom and pops are absolutely the bloodline to any community because it's your neighbors. You bring in these big corporations, we don't know who own these businesses. We don't know the district manager. You got to give us an 800 number to call the district manager to get some resolution.
And then when you call it, you're talking to somebody overseas.
Right. Either you don't get a response and it's just kind of like, well, man, we'll give you a refund. How about that? You have a small business, you can walk in, you can touch the owner. You may have a relationship with the owner. You may worship with the owner. You may know somebody the owner knows. It is about building relationships and opening doors and creating opportunities for these businesses to open in our community.
Good point.
That when you build, there's nothing like a relationship.
Right.
I'll support somebody who have a $10 thing of shea butter, even though I know I can go get it for $4 over here, because of your customer service. And because I support you. Right. Because you took the effort to come in and get to know me. That's the difference between a small business and a big box corporation. They appreciate your business because they understand without your business, we wouldn't be here.
Correct.
I helped run a small business downtown. And we understand that.
So she's speaking from experience.
That is experience. Like, we've been down there 9 years, and I know that for us, we go above and beyond to make sure that your experience is a pleasant one, because one, we want you to tell people about us, and we want you to come back. We have a thing that says, I don't want your money, I want your business. And there's a big, I can get your money. We can get your money.
That don't mean you got a business.
That don't mean I got your business. And then I want your business because it's the business that keeps us sustained. We got to create opportunities, especially in the downtown area. That these small businesses can come in and help this area thrive. And that even businesses around the local area can come in and help these communities thrive.
I'm going to be honest with you now. You know what I'm saying? You said I could just be straightforward with these questions.
Be straightforward with
it. There are people who want to open up businesses in the downtown area.
Right.
but for whatever reason, it feel like you got to get an act of Congress to do it.
You got to get, ooh, yes, Lord. So here's what's happening with downtown. They're saying, we want a business. They're coming down looking at the properties, but because the cyber center has come up in there, the prices has gone sky high.
Right.
So it makes it almost impossible for a startup business to come in to find a space that is reasonably priced for them, that can fit into their budget and not cut too much into their overhead. That makes it. So the outlining areas. What happened to the corner store in our neighborhood?
Yeah.
Why can't we go back to that?
Yeah.
What happened? I remember
in straight 70s, right on.
Right, like when I was growing up, if we wanted candy, we went to the candy lady house.
Yeah, when worshiping down at Mount Calvary, we went around the corner and spent money.
Corner, and there was a store.
We spent the offering money Mama gave us, but we still supported the community. Ain't that giving?
Ain't
that giving? Go ahead.
I didn't do that. He did. When we walked in our door, we had to give our offering right then. They took our money.
We had too much time on our hands.
But those are the things we have, again, those abandoned properties.
Yeah.
And I know people talking about zoning, and there's still areas. We can get things rezoned.
Yeah.
If I'm opening up a little small storefront store and it's on the corner of something, and it's not in the middle of my neighborhood, but it's close enough to the neighborhood where the kids can still walk to it, where people can come in and grab a little thing of milk and some bread real quick because they haven't gone to the grocery store yet.
Gotcha.
There are other opportunities available.
Yeah.
Areas that we can explore so that small business owners can build up and come in, because a brick and mortar would be good.
It would be good.
It would be good to have more.
But people don't realize how much money is tied into bringing income into the city when it comes to brick and mortar.
It does.
So online, the overhead shrinks. I get it. But when it comes to the lifeblood of a city, brick and mortar, it really does.
It sustains you because it increased foot traffic. It increased when visitors come to town. It gives them another reason to want to come back. We hear it all the time when people come in to visit and they're like, where are all the stores at? Where are all the businesses at? Where are all the small businesses at? So, and that is something that we need to be more small business friendly about.
Right. Good point. So now, since we're talking about small business, let's look at it from a different perspective, because you just was bringing downtown stuff, and I brought that up, and you was talking about the mom and pop stores. The Regency Mall. Let's talk about it.
No comment.
Let's talk about it.
Let's talk about it.
No, on a serious note,
let's talk about it. Yeah, I got
because
you.
the crazy thing is, so the city, Senator Jones, if I'm correct, he's trying to pass something where if the Regency Mall don't shake no trees and do something, it's gonna be hit as eminent domain, and the city's gonna take it.
Yes.
What's your thoughts on that
Absolutely.
movement? Okay.
Because here's what you're doing. You're causing an eyesore in our city.
Okay.
And you're doing it on purpose.
Gotcha.
You're doing it on purpose because you know that there's nothing we can do about it. You're sitting there and you have a blighted property.
Gotcha.
In the heart of our city.
Gotcha.
That people have to travel by on a major busy highway.
Very true.
And it looks run down and condemned.
Very
and
true.
it adds to the inappropriate comments and jokes that people have about the ghetto, the hood, with thugs and all that kind of a stuff. That I'm all for eminent domain on that. Because if you're not doing anything, again, that goes back to the responsibility of business holders in our city and property owners in our city.
Gotcha.
If you're not taking care and valuing the community that you live in, get out.
Gotcha.
Plain and simple.
Gotcha.
That's the nicest way I can put it.
Gotcha.
Get out. If you won't do anything with it, you won't fix it up, you won't try to bring other businesses there, you won't sell it to us, you won't allow us to use it, then what you here for?
And he's asking $60 million. The company's asking for $60 million. They say it's not even worth that.
It's not.
Yeah.
So what you here for?
Yeah.
So you're trying to take advantage of a city that's trying to do better and build up and get things. So get out.
So here's my question. What would you want that property to be used for? What kind of idea? And this is just an idea. What would you love to see that property? Because that's a huge property.
Is a huge property. I was excited when someone had mentioned once before, like a water park.
Okay.
I love water. We stay warm around here relatively a long time throughout the year.
Very true.
That would be something nice.
Okay.
A family activity center. We can have several family activity centers there. We can make that an athletic park or activity park. It's a big property. And to have ideas of what it is, again, that's the people.
Gotcha.
Like, again,
Gotcha.
it's the what y'all want. It
Gotcha.
really is a what y'all want.
Let the community speak for
yeah.
itself. And that's interesting because I know I put my phone down in regards to the things that you said as your kickback, but you said let the community. One thing you said as your kickoff, you said let the community set the standard.
Yes.
Can you elaborate on that before we go into the last few questions?
Well, so someone had said that they wouldn't mind having Columbia County and Aiken County and other counties coming in and fixing up our communities, basically gentrifying our communities.
Gentrification.
I'm not for that. I'm not for that. It's the community that should set the standard of what we want in our community. If this side of the community may not want a dog park, so don't try to put a dog park over here. The other side may want a dog park. Put a dog park over there. If we have dogs over here, we'll be happy to go over there to visit. But this community as a whole don't want a dog park. We may want a park. We may just have a lot more kids. Because what is it to have a dog park in a community that don't have a lot of dog owners?
Very true.
But you're putting a park. Why not put a park in a community that have an abundance of kids?
Gotcha.
Because that was one of the things I noticed too when I moved here. Where are the parks? My kids are outside kids. Like, we were the ones that would go outside, do family picnics, and I was like, well, where are the parks? Why do I have to go to the next county to get into parks, to have a swing set and a walking trail in the same area? Like, how hard is to do this? The concept of park. So communities set the standards of what they want in their community. Got you.
Understood. And that, I think that's interesting because I've never really I've heard people say let the community have a voice, but I've never heard anybody say let the community have the standard.
Listen, you can't come in my house and tell me how to decorate my house.
Got you.
You can't come in my house and tell me what kind of furniture to have in my house. So you should be, my community is my house.
Right.
You can't come in my house
Got you.
before giving me a chance to and tell me what's going to happen. Somebody else is coming to clean my house up without giving me a chance to clean it up.
Understood. So now you don't have to answer this question if you don't want to. I don't know. Because I don't know how much information. Well, I don't know if you really paid attention when this happened. I know I did, and I was kind of mad. Not that I go to a lot of baseball games, but why did we lose the Green Jacket Stadium to North Augusta? We lost Augusta Green Jackets to a whole nother city.
Whole nother state.
Yeah, that's what I meant to say. A whole nother state. Let's keep it 100.
That is a pretty painting you got right there. That is a very beautiful painting you have right there.
Understood. All right. We'll move on. So there's people that say voting doesn't matter because it's not going to change anything.
And those are the people who only deal with national level politics. And that's just my answer. Those are people who deal with national level politics, don't have a vested interest in their community. And I say that I know I'm gonna get a lot of kickback from that. But
is it? It's not where the lie at though.
Right. And so because my vote absolutely matters when I'm voting in who's gonna run my city.
There you go.
My vote absolutely matters when I'm voting in who's gonna set the curriculum for my students. My vote absolutely matters who I'm voting in who's going to be the judge over family court or criminal court. My vote absolutely matters when I'm deciding who's going to set precedents for my city, laws and rules for my city, who's going to run my city. My vote matters.
And I want to tie this in before I get down to the last two questions that we do have. I think that's why I'm so excited about what District 1 has to offer. Because Shawnda, she knows she's not the only one on the ballot. But two of you, I know personally, man. You and another candidate I know, man. And one of the things is, I've watched you guys from grassroots, and you're still grassroots. So I don't think we understand the importance of this. And you brought up who's going to be the judge over this, or who's going to be on the board when it comes to the schools, who's going to be on X, Y, and Z when it comes to local matters. And I think we sit back and we take our hands off of them, and we like this. Well, it doesn't matter. Well, it doesn't matter because you're not going out there talking to people that might be interested, that could represent the problems that you want to be represented.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? So it's something my mama had to tell me, because I used to be on that kick. And my mama had to swiftly kick me in my behind with it. And she went in, she just said, son, okay, if you're mad about the people that are representing you, then go in your community. Either you be the one to represent them and campaign to be the person like what she's doing right now, or you find somebody that you know holds the same standards as you and that you want, and you campaign for them.
Right, like
you know
support them.
Campaign for
exactly.
them. So I was like, you know what? I wanted to argue with you, Mom,
but I can't. Yeah,
I can't. It makes sense. So I think we can be our own worst enemy when it comes to that statement right there. And like I said, grassroots, man, like we've known each other for a while, man. And I've seen her literally, honestly, loving the community, loving all aspects and facets of the community. So I am saluting you guys who are running. I'm saluting you because let me tell you something. It just feels good to know that somebody is actually running that truly, honestly loves the city of Augusta. So which leads me to my last question. I'm gonna make my last question, then I'm gonna let you have your run at letting people know how they can contact you and stuff like that. This is a good question. I love this question right here. We can talk about all the problems that are going on in Augusta.
Okay.
And it's easy to do that.
Yep.
Here's my question to you, though. What is it that you absolutely love about Augusta?
The heartbeat, man. Listen. That's an easy question. I was a little nervous. Man, let me tell you something. Augusta is one of the most diverse and resilient cities I've ever lived in. Even in spite of the problems that people, and let me just say, the problems do not outweigh the greatness that is Augusta.
Good.
We have some amazing art here. We have some amazing music here. We have some amazing teachers here. We have some talent. We're right here on the water. We got nature out here. And I'm an outside person. So that's one of the first things I look for when I live someplace is what kind of outside activities can I get involved with. I don't know how I've lived here 11 years and discovered just last year the little watering hole. Yeah. And I'm sitting here like, who didn't tell me? Who I gotta let go as my friend because y'all didn't tell me about the swimming hole and the sliding. Yes, it's the river.
Hey, so the camera cut off, we had to come back, but my son is in the bed like, hey, we got a water hole.
Right.
He like he finna just slap me upside my forehead.
Like, so your daddy did you a disservice. It's the canal. It's right there in the canal. And you go behind the trees and I'm like, man, this some stuff right here. I'm like, all we missing is a rope tied to the tree and we just swing out and dive into the water. Augusta is absolutely amazing with the outdoor activities, the nature, just the people. The people, listen, you either love Augusta or you hate Augusta.
And that's
true. What I love about the people here. There is no gray area. You know where people stand. You either don't like Augusta or you like Augusta.
Yeah, that is true. That is true. Very true.
You're not left to wonder, I wonder how they really feel. No, people be like, leave, get out, don't, And then there's people like, Augusta is the greatest city ever in the history of America. But I love the heartbeat of this city. I just love the way this city just moves and vibes and just grooves with each other, especially the music and the art scene. Like I'm a spoken word person. I'm an art person. So those kind of things, there's never a lack of. When it comes to that kind of entertainment and stuff. And I love, and that's why I tell people, I chose to be here. My last child is graduating. And I think someone was saying, well, what's next for you? Like, where are you going to next? Because when I first came here, I was like, I'm going to get my mother together because I moved here because my mother got sick. And they said, well, my brothers was like, you got to come help take care of her. You got to help, it's the end of life. 12 years later, my mama's still kicking. Praise God, but 12 years later. And so the thought was, well, now that she's better, I can just leave. But then I realized because I was one of those people when I first moved here, I was just like, I don't understand people like this. Like, you got $5. You're not trying to do anything because you're more afraid of having 4 than you are of getting sick. And I'm like, I can't be around closed-minded people like that. But I remember my dad saying, don't complain about a place until you're willing to put in the work to help change it. And only after you've done the work and you see that there's still no change, then shake the dust off your feet and move on. So I'm like, well, let me do my part. Let me get to work.
You fell in love doing your part. It's amazing. It's amazing when you roll your sleeves up, the very thing that you think that you're not going to like it's you fall in love with.
Yep.
You really
and
do.
you have to
You
do it
really
with
do.
an open mind.
Yeah.
Because you cannot start doing the work reluctantly, because you will see the results that you have put out
Got you.
yourself.
Got
So
you.
you have to do it with an open mind,
Got you.
with believing that the things you do will make a difference.
Gotcha. So I said that was the last question, but I lied. Because I just thought of one that I have to ask. I have
Okay.
to ask. You know, when the presidential campaigns be going, on day one of my presidency, this is what I'm going to actually implement and put in place. I am going to do boom, boom, boom on day one. On day one, if Shawnda Griffin is selected as District 1 commissioner, what is going to be her primary focus on day one?
Man, I probably cry. No, it's day one for me probably would be just taking it all in.
Okay.
I don't make campaign promises. I really don't. I really just tell the people I'm going to do the very best I can. Day one, I'm probably going to call my mama and be like, Mama, for real, I'm trying to taking pictures of my seat. This our seat, y'all. Click, ooh, y'all done mess. Ooh, y'all done voted me. Oh my! I'm probably in the chair taking a selfie and spinning around. Like, man, it's just I enjoy when good things happen in life.
Yeah.
I celebrate goodness
Gotcha.
in life. So day one, man.
It's crazy that you're answering the way you're answering, because it's not the typical political answer.
And you're not going to get that, because listen, day one, I'm sitting there thinking, day one, man, I probably wear the best. I probably have Keith Jones make me a tailored suit. I'll walk up in there with a pair of high heels and just kick up and put my feet on the desk and be like, I'm here.
And now it's interesting. You said this during your campaign kickoff, and you're saying it even now. It's not your campaign, it's our campaign, is what you said. Can you elaborate on that, why you said that? And you kind of been talking about it through this whole thing, but I want you to elaborate on that, focus in, and then after you're done with that, let the people know how they can support you, how they can, if they need to get in contact with you. Go ahead and segue all into that.
Okay. So I said this is a people campaign because one, my focus is giving the voice and giving the power back in the hands of the citizens. This is not my seat. That's one of the things I've come to learn with watching over the few years, watching the commissioners. The seat doesn't belong to us. I'm a commissioner of the people. You elected me here. I didn't just walk in and bid on the seat. I didn't buy the seat. I didn't bid on the seat and outbid someone to get the seat. So it's not my seat. The people have to put me in the seat. And that is their seat. I'm beholden to them. I'm held accountable by them. I have to be transparent to them. I have to respond to them. I have to answer their questions whether I like it or not. It's the people's seat. That seat every seat belongs to the people. This is not my campaign. I'm campaigning for those who are ignored. I'm campaigning for those who feel like nobody listens. I'm campaigning for those who are tired of politics the same way. I'm campaigning for people who just want something different in the seat. I'm campaigning for those who just don't want to do the same thing and keep getting the same results.
The definition of insane.
Insanity, right? So that's why I'm campaigning. That's why I say it's the people's campaign, because I'm doing it for them. I'm doing it for my community. So if you want to contact me, I'm Shawnda Griffin. I'm running for Commissioner of District 1. If you would like to contact me, you can definitely listen. My cell phone number is 706-941-7720. My email is electshawnda@gmail.com. That's SHAWNDA Griffin Griffin.
Look, we're gonna put it on the bottom of the screen.
You can go to electshonda.com. That's my website. And you can contact us to volunteer, to donate. You want to talk, you want to ask me your own set of questions, because I'm an issues voter. So I don't mind issue people. I don't mind people talking to me about certain issues. And I'm going to tell you the truth, if I don't know, I'm going to tell you, I don't know, but I'll be happy to find some information out for you and let you know. I don't ever try to pretend to be more than I am.
Awesome. Well, Shawnda, I thank you for coming on for episode 2
Thank you for having me.
of Community Talks. Episode episode 2.
Yes, that means what?
Community
First
Talks.
woman? First woman?
First woman.
Ooh, I'm the first woman.
The first
Yes.
woman. Man, we don't discriminate
I'm making
on this
history.
show.
I'm making history on this show. Yeah. This goes down in the books.
It goes down in the books.
All right. So when you make it big, don't forget about it.
I won't forget about you.
Okay, I appreciate it.
But no, on a serious note, we do thank you, man, for coming through. It has been a blessing for you to speak.
Thank you for having me.
Allowing the people to hear from you. And like I said, I pray all the blessings upon you, whatever you do with it, because I mean, you're doing your thing, you're doing your thing and everything like that. So it's just salute to you. I'm gonna shake your hand, mama. You know what I'm saying? Much love and respect. Ladies and gentlemen, again, Shawnda Griffin, she's running for District 1. All her information, of course, has been on the screen. I'm saying it like it's already been there, but it's on the screen. It's gonna be on the screen at the beginning, towards the end, of course. But just make sure that you listen to what she's saying, and when you do go out there, when is the days to vote? That's what I need you to let them know.
Okay, so May 19th. So early voting started this week, this past week. You can vote early at the Municipal Building downtown at 535 Telfair Street, Monday through Friday from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. And that's the big building where they have the mayor's office, the Board of Elections, tax office, and all of that. You come into the door, go to the room to the right, and that is the Beasley room where they have all the early voting machines set up. But the general election is May 19th. So May 19th, go in there, look for Griffin, check that box, give me your vote, put me in your seat, and let's get to work.
There you go. If you got any questions, be sure to contact her. Let her know what your issues are. Ask her those hard questions.
Please do.
And she even said this to me. She said, hey, if you want to sit down and have a conversation with her over a cup of coffee, she's willing to sit down. Or even some juice at Humana Treehouse.
Yes.
You didn't think I was going to do that. We out, though. Much love and respect. Peace.
Bye, guys.
Thank you so much, Mama. I appreciate that.
Pleasure.
I appreciate that.
Thank you guys for